Hello, driving at home community. Today we're coming to you on a dreary day talking about electric power generating stations. As you can see behind us, we have our coal-fired electric power generating station. If you can see the stack right there, and then you've got the cooling tower here, which around here we affectionately call the cloud maker. It's not really making the clouds that are above us, but it is putting off some steam that is cooling the water that's going through there. If you can see over here, we've got our tree line here that is sort of obscuring the sand dunes that are on the edge of the sea, the lake over there. But if you checked out our prior video about what TVA is doing to address their future power needs, you've come back to hear the rest of the story. If you want to hear that other story, you can go over there and check that out. Maybe after we're done talking about this, because we're going to continue talking about the fact that the TVA in Tennessee has started to put another notch for the BWRX 300 reactor. You're like, what is the BWRX 300? What is this? Here we go. We're going to dive in and check it out. And then we're going to have a discussion later here and also in the notes to further our knowledge about what to do to make sure we're geared up for all these electric vehicles that we're going to be driving here in the near future and trying to plug in everywhere we can find a place to plug them in. So let's get into this. It says TVA chose GE Hitachi's BWRX 300 because it is based on light water reactor or LWR technology, said the guy Liash, who's the director down there. He says, while we will continue to support and examine all the various SMR designs being proposed, we believe that light water SMR designs, which are closely related to the current generation of TVA's large nuclear units, are more mature and closer to commercial deployment within the next decade. So, by the 2030 time frame or so, that we're looking to get into all electric vehicles, right? 2032, 2035, what is it? Have you heard what the government's target is? Maybe you can leave that in the notes. But if you're wondering what an SMR is, check out the prior videos. We go into all that. He says, for that reason, we are currently in discussions with GE Hitachi to support their BWRX 300 light water SMR design, which will help inform a future decision about the potential deployment. Continuing, and this is in Power magazine, which is an internal, what do you call it, industry magazine for the power generating community. It says the BWRX 300 is a 300 megawatt boiling water reactor, or BWR, that the Wilmington, North Carolina-based GE Hitachi launched in 2017. The reactor design is the 10th evolution of GE's boiling water reactor technology, and GE Hitachi says it represents, quote, the simplest yet most innovative BWR design since GE began developing nuclear reactors in 1955. On its website, GEH also notes that the design is based on the Generation 3 Plus 1520 megawatt ESBWR, which the NRC, Nuclear Regulatory Commission, certified in 2014. TVA spokesperson Jim Hobson confirmed to Power that the known technical parameters of the BWRX 300 are within the potential site envelope included in the early site permit. The early site permit has a maximum of 800 megawatts at the Clinch River site, he noted in his comment. Ontario Power Generation, a Crown corporation wholly owned by Ontario's provincial government, also cited the reactor's evolutionary benefits. We discussed that in a prior video as well. Check that one out for the Ontario installation. So they noted these benefits when they selected the BWRX 300 last December in a stiff competition for its much-watched utility-scale project. OPG is targeting a 2028 timeframe to begin operating that single-unit project. Progress on that project is ongoing. We continue to advance the BWRX 300 and work with the Canadian nuclear power supply chain to support the deployment of the technology in Canada and around the world. If you hear some interesting noise, it's this train behind me getting ready to go. He's starting to fire up his diesel power generating plant inside that diesel, and he's letting off some steam, as you can tell, or whatever it is that you do in a diesel locomotive. So let's continue. According to, progress on that project in Ontario is ongoing. He says, we continue to advance the BWRX 300 and work with the Canadian nuclear power supply chain to support the deployment of the technology in Canada and around the world. A GEH spokesperson told Power on February 9th. According to Leash in Tennessee, TVA will continue to engage with other developers to explore the next generation of nuclear reactors. These include Kairos, with which TVA is partnering to demonstrate a low-power molten salt high-temperature reactor in Oak Ridge, Tennessee, the actual place where a lot of our nuclear technology got its start. Oak Ridge, Tennessee, right down the road from the TVA installation. As well as the Department of Energy's Advanced Reactor Demonstration Program awardees. X-Energy and TerraPower are the two. And NuScale, whose technology will be deployed at the 462 megawatt carbon-free power project in Idaho. So go Idaho, you've got a project going there as well. GEH, notably, is also part of a core team along with TerraPower that is spearheading the demonstration of a 500 megawatt natrium sodium cooled fast reactor plant at Pacific Corp's Naughton Power Plant site in Wyoming. So here we go, Wyoming, let's get into it. Yes, that project is expected to be operational within the next 7 years by 2028, aligning with the ARDP schedule as mandated by Congress. ARDP was the original earlier thing we talked about, the Advanced Reactor Demonstration Program. Back in Tennessee, Leash said TVA's pursuit of the BWRX 300 at Clinch River will establish yet another pathway to the cost-effective and low-carbon future that we see. However, he acknowledged that initial deployment of any truly innovative technology carries financial and technical costs and risks. One way TVA will seek to mitigate these risks is to engage with experienced and similarly committed partners. On this effort, TVA expects to partner and collaborate with other utilities and entities to bring a broad set of skills and experience resources to the program. That will also help us spread financial and technical risk, and when we're successful, to share our collective experience for the benefit of others. We believe that this will create the best value for the investments that we're going to make now, he said. Sounds like a press release, but it's important for us to hear these things from the people that are doing these projects, because this is the 10th generation reactor. This is something that's been in the works for years. Since 1955 they've been working on these things. So when you think about special technology that we get into, that we pursue because of crises that come up out of the blue, we jump into them without even thinking about the risk. Here we don't even have to think about jumping into it, because it's been in the works for so many years that it's pretty much safe and effective. And we can see the track record of those power generating plants throughout a long period of history. So, moving forward with the final part of this that we want to get into before we have further our discussion, he says, while TVA told Power magazine that it's still too early to speculate on total program costs, it suggested that it was exploring recent incentives aimed at new nuclear. We continue to work with the U.S. Department of Energy and our congressional delegation to explore all opportunities to potentially share costs that ultimately would move advanced nuclear technology forward to benefit the entire nation, according to Hobson. So, what does that tell us? We're not done with this article yet, but we're talking about electric vehicles and all of the extra demand that they're going to place onto the power grid. All these high voltage power lines going overhead are carrying the power from the power generating plant behind me that runs on coal, fossil fuels, down the line to somebody's house, or down over to a Tesla supercharging station, or a Volkswagen Electrify America station, or whatever the case may be. And that means if they were going to decommission this coal-fired plant, what are they going to do to supplant all of that need for extra capacity? And that's the big question we need to be asking our leaders. This type of thing that we've been talking about today is one of those things that is a promising development, because they're thinking long-term about base load power generation. That's the load of power that we have that is constant, and it's not subject to your cyclical day and night patterns or seasonal patterns. It's pretty much the floor of how much power you need. So, you can go with a lot of renewables, trying to increase power generating capacity from those items, but the real deep power is going to be coming from these types of plants here long term. And how are you going to get to zero carbon? With a high impact power generating station, you are going to have to go with nuclear. And these are the types of technologies here that we've been talking about at TVA and other places that are going to do that for us. So the takeaway here is we need to be thinking about how to help our leaders, our government representatives, to understand that we are looking to go to nuclear for that type of base load power generating capacity long term. Yes, there might be some great technology that comes up out of the blue that helps us to weather the storm, or the crisis that's coming. If you believe in climate change and the crisis that it's presenting to us, then you want to pursue these types of long-term solutions, and you shouldn't just pursue one or the other, just renewables or just nuclear. Bring them all to the table. Let's go. That's where we're talking about on this channel. If you agree, fill it in the comments. Tell me thumbs up. Give me a thumbs up. If you disagree, Tell me in the comments that you disagree and you think it's wrong, and why. Don't just say it's wrong. Tell me why. And then put a thumbs down if you disagree. Or if you don't like this video, you think it's wrong, whatever. If you really think it's wrong, give me 2 thumbs down. Hit it twice. And also make sure you subscribe, and then check out our other videos that will show you more information about what we're talking about with this type of nuclear reactor power generating plants, small modular reactors, and all of that sort of thing. So I went long on this video, but hopefully you gained something from it, and if you have, join us for the next video, and we'll see you next time on Driving.